everybody. Okay, so story time today. I'm gonna talk about a paranormal experience that I had when I was 8 years old. When I was born and raised in the city, and when I was 8 years old, my dad decided to move us to the country because the area that we lived in was getting bad, and he was a truck driver and couldn't be home to protect us, so he felt that it was in his family's best interest to keep them safe to move us to the country. And when I say the country, I mean the country. We had to go a mile down the road just to get our mail. So because the mailman wouldn't deliver where we lived. That's how country I'm talking. And there was no houses. The closest neighbor was also a mile away. So anyway, it was, I believe, April 84 that we moved to the country. And it wasn't even, let's see, when we got there that night, it was really late. So we just brought in blankets and pillows to get some sleep, and figured we'd get up the next morning and start unloading and unpacking our stuff, getting things put away. And the very next day, we was all just getting stuff in and out and unpacking and putting things away. And our house, the way it was kind of set up, our back window from the ground, it was pretty high up. So, I mean, most people, if they was to walk past you wouldn't see them because you had to be pretty tall when walking past that window. And I remember looking outside, and at that moment I seen a man walk past our window. And at first I thought it was my brother, my older brother, because he was really tall. He's like 6'3", something like that. So I didn't think anything of it. And then I said something to my mom when I turned around, and my brother was sitting there. And it kind of took me back, because I was like, wasn't you just outside? He said no. And I looked at my mom and I said, I just seen a man walk past the window and I thought it was him, but she goes, I seen it too. And she said, and the only person that was outside was my dad. And my dad, he's a tall man too, so I thought, okay, well, maybe it was, and right then my dad started walking in with some more stuff, and my mom said, was you just outside out back? And he said no. And she said, we just seen a man walk past the window. And in the back there was this old house. I guess you could say it was condemned because nobody lived in it, and it was just kind of there on the property when we got there. So my mom told us kids to stay in the house, and her and my dad got the gun and the dog, and they went out to this building to look around to see if there was anybody out there, because the only thing that surrounded us was just woods. That's all it was, just fields and woods, that's it. So there was nowhere that this man could have possibly gone except for in that house in the back. So my mom and dad grabbed the gun and they took the dog and they went out back to look around, and there was nobody out there. And I think my dad must have thought that we were crazy or that we were seeing things, but I know what I saw, and I still to this day can see that man, what he was wearing and what he looked like. And that was, I believe, that was the first time I ever experienced anything paranormal. Now, I say I think because there was one time when I was 4 that I don't know if it was a paranormal thing or if it was just my brother lying to keep himself from getting in trouble, but that's another story. But the property that we had lived on, that we had moved to, I should say, was continued to be very active over the years, and it seemed to really like to, I don't want to say target, but it seemed to be really drawn to me specifically. I don't know why. And over the years, this thing, I hate saying thing, this spirit or ghost, whatever you want to call it, like to play tricks on me. So, but those are stories for later. But the one I just told you was the first one that I had when I moved to this particular property. And we ended up living there for about 15 years, I guess, about 15 years we lived there. And the entire time it was just, paranormal things going on the entire time. And I've had, friends ask me, did it follow you? And I don't think it did, because I have lived at other places after that and haven't experienced anything paranormal. So I don't think it did. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that it was paranormal, and I know what I saw. And I know it's also something I will never forget. But that's my story time video for today, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.